Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Eternal. I am one of your hosts, Andrew Bolin, alongside the war hero, Braxton Taylor.
Thank me for my service. It's not something to joke about. I have traumatic issues here.
Yeah, so Braxton was telling me earlier that he had a traumatic experience. He lived a war in his dreams last night, and he has left that dream a changed man. He feels like he really went through this war, and basically we've come to the conclusion that he was in an alternate universe.
Yes.
And lived another life and then came back. So he's a different man now.
Yeah. Well, just to give context on what on earth we're talking about, because you probably have no idea what we're talking about. I very rarely have dreams like that I remember, but when I do, I have the most vivid, realistic dreams on Earth. And long story short, I had a dream where like we was being invaded by a foreign country, and I had to fight and protect our family. It was wild because I woke up and I'm like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know. Did I do that in real life?
Rumor has it he failed. He died. So
I don't know. I killed a lot of people on the way down there. So.
Wow. Welcome back, everyone, to Jedi Eternal. We know it's been a little bit, and we apologize for the month delay in our main podcast. Yes, we as Jedi Eternal have done some other things in that month, but our official next episode has been almost a month, so we are so sorry for that. But we are back. And we have, of course, a lot to talk about here today. But first, before we do that, we do have to mention a couple of things. First, we want to mention that we do have a Patreon that you can join. And that Patreon is $5 a month. And that gives you access to our exclusive series. And that exclusive series is called And Other Stuff, where we talk about everything that is not Star Wars.
Yes.
So we have a lot of fun there. We have talked about quite a few things that you might find of interest. Our last episode that we just uploaded in this previous week was all about the Batman, we talked about other things too, but the Batman was our, we just kind of reviewed it. And so if you're interested in hearing that, you can go there to our Patreon and join that for $5 a month.
Yes.
But also a part of that, we want to give a shout out to our Patreon producers. These are those that are paying those $5, which, of course, is a huge, tremendous help to us. I am trying to pull up my list and I cannot find it for the life of me. Hold on one second. I will not let you all down. I promise.
Get some white music going on.
Seriously, I don't know why this isn't working. It's not even letting me log in. Let's see if I can remember all of them by memory.
Oh, you're gonna.
So we want to thank Grace and David Gill, Jenna Evans, Brittany Baker, Jay Camdar, JB, our man JB, Alex Mason, and my wife, Tara Bolin.
I really hope there's not anyone else that we didn't get.
No, I think that's it. So we want to thank our Patreon producers for this month. If you want to join that list, and I promise we will not forget your name, you can go to our Patreon for those $5. It would be greatly appreciated, and it goes to a wonderful cause.
It really does.
Let's move forward into our news for this week. Our first story for today here is that Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga has sold 3.2 million copies in 2 weeks.
Lego, literally.
So this, of course, surpasses all previous Lego console game launches and also sets a record across all regions, platforms, and editions. So, and to give you kind of some context here, Star Wars Squadrons sold 1.1 million copies in its first month. Star Wars Battlefront 2 sold 1 million. And Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sold 2.9 million. So the Skywalker Saga sold more than all of those titles in its first 2 weeks, at 3.2 million copies.
Wow.
And that also, just to put it also into perspective here, those digital, and let's remember, these are digital sales, just the
Right,
digital
yeah.
sales. The digital sales almost match Elden Rings for that same
Really?
period of time.
Wow.
So really swinging with the big dogs, Lego Skywalker Saga is.
Elder
so.
Scroll was for the boys, but Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is for the men.
You mean
know what?
Elden Ring? You said
don't-
Elder Scrolls.
I don't know anymore. I can't think, guys. Here's an interesting thing, and if I'm reading this correctly, Star Wars, the complete saga, like Lego Star Wars complete saga, sold a total, and hopefully I'm reading this correctly, but they told a total of all time 15.2 million copies. Well, Star Wars Lego Skywalker Saga sold 3.2 million in the first 2 weeks. That's literally approximately 20% of that 15 million total for complete saga was completed in 2 weeks. So clearly it's doing pretty good. So.
Right.
And overall, I mean, I think it's very, and we're going to get into a little bit our thoughts as to the game. And personally, the 3.2 million copies sold, I think that is completely validated, or I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically I think it is worth it. It deserves it. It is a really, really good game. And I'm not even just saying for a Lego game. It's a good game in general.
Yes. And so let's just kind of go into our thoughts a little bit on this game. We've had some time to play it. Go ahead, Braxton, and tell us, where are you at in Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga?
So I am not super far into it for multiple reasons. Well, two, mainly because A, I'm really taking my time with it, and B, because I haven't played it for a little bit. Just because I have so many things going on and whatnot. But I completed episode 4, New Hope, and I completed episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and I think I'm about halfway through episode 6, Return of the Jedi, I believe. So I actually started with the original saga, or excuse me, this original trilogy, because I thought you had to. Otherwise, I probably would have started with the prequels. But anyway, so I've only completed 2 chapters, I guess if that's what you call it, or 2 movies.
Yeah, and well, also if you count when we played over the live stream,
True.
you've done most of episode 1. There's just a little bit left.
Yeah,
but
true.
Okay, so with me, I started playing with you, and we did most of episode 1, and then from there I've been playing it with my daughter, and so we finished episode 1, and we've done all of episode 2 together.
Nice.
And we just booted up episode 3, but then it was time for her to go to bed, so we've not gotten any farther, but we did watch the opening scene of episode 3. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's been really fun playing it with her. I will say that it does make the levels take quite a bit longer, especially when it's dependent on her actually having to do something that her, when a certain character has to do a certain part, right? And
both of you have to pull a lever.
Yeah. And so when it gets to things like that, it's a little challenging, but it's been fun, and she really enjoys it. So I think it's cool that. That's kind of the magic of Lego Star Wars as an adult and as a father, is still getting to enjoy them and kind of reminiscing of our past joys of playing them as children ourselves, but now also being able to share that joy with a child and seeing them experience it for the first time. And both of us getting enjoyment out of it.
Oh yeah,
is a really cool thing, and
that's a testament to the game itself.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's not a whole lot out there where you and a kid can be getting the same enjoyment out of something. You know what I mean? There's usually one or the other's getting more, but I really truly think this is one of those games, especially for a Star Wars fan, where you can both really have just a really fun time with this.
Yeah, and like I said, again, it's definitely a testament to the game itself, because again, it keeps its childlike fun nature of the Lego games, but they have completely revamped. They have a whole new engine that they have utilized for this game. They have revamped the combat system It's where the gunfighting and the saber fighting are both, like I said, completely retooled. And so the gameplay is smoother, it's more fun, it's more intuitive, and it feels better. But at the same time, it's still just a fun Lego game.
Yeah. So I'll say my one concern I've had with the game, and again, I have a lot more to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what my main concern I've had so far, and I expressed this a little bit in our live stream of episode 1, is that I feel like a lot of the actual levels of the game are like either boss fights or like ship flying fights.
Yeah.
So like you have which those are fine, but I miss the more like where you have this more linear level,
Right.
but like there's still a lot of the secrets and stuff that you're doing, where I feel like a lot of the secrets and stuff in this game are in the free play
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
or in the open world or whatever you want to call it.
And that's what I was going to say. I have 2 points to that. A, they do seem to lean towards like the whole linear secrets thing. That's more in the free play now. And that's what you kind of just said it. But it's like, that's what I've noticed is that the missions are more geared to the story, and you don't, yeah, you can find mini kits. That's where you find mini kits is in the levels and stuff, or the missions and stuff. But a lot of most of the Kyber bricks you're going to find is not in the levels.
Yeah, and it's just like, I know, when we used to play, you would go through and you go, oh, look, there's all this I can't do yet. Oh, that I can't do yet. I'm gonna have to come back when I've beat this and when I've unlocked more characters. I'll come back and do all this secret stuff.
Right.
And one of the things I like to always bring to my memory is like in the original Saga game. When you go to Dagobah, and it's one of the moments that really stood out to me in that game is you go to Dagobah and when you go back and you do the secrets and stuff, you can for some weird reason you can unlock a lawnmower, and I just remember having Yoda riding this lawnmower through Dagobah and stuff like that. It's like it makes no sense, but I just love it.
Yeah, so I will say, and I think I've told you this before, but I will say that the whole like it being a linear mission, it does seem to come back a little bit more in the original trilogy ones. Like the missions I played, there have been this fair share of ship battles, but it does seem to be more linear in just missions.
I noticed in episode 2 there was a little bit more of that in comparison. Episode 1, I felt like it was almost all every level was either you're fighting a boss or you're flying a ship.
Which, to be fair, episode 1 in the movie, there was a lot of like ship flying,
sure.
though. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And then episode 2, I noticed it more. So when I got a couple of those in episode 2, I was like, okay, well, this is more acceptable. I don't want and I noticed this a lot in episode 1 is like, they're like, okay, so we're going to just have you follow this character in the open world, and they're going to talk, and you're just going to slowly follow them until you reach the next point, and then you're going to hold down A and start the next little story
right.
thing. And it was just like, I didn't find that very exciting. And if that's what the open world is going to consist of, then I'm like, I don't know if that's really something I need.
Yeah.
Now, like you're saying, and that's not as prominent in the original Saga. And I found even in episode 2, it got better. So I still have high hopes for it. But we will come back with our official thoughts on the game whenever we finally complete all of it, which may be a while.
Yeah,
but
may be a while.
Also, I do want to say that we heard you guys loud and clear. Our Patreon, and we also made this viewable to our whole audience. Even if you weren't a Patreon member, you could vote on this, and it was what you guys wanted to see us do with our Let's Plays. Right now, we've been doing KOTOR. And so we put out a poll. One of the options was to stop KOTOR and to do Lego Star Wars. And you guys were very clear. You want us to do Lego Star Wars. That's all the votes were on. We did not get a single vote on anything else. So we've heard you. starting next week, we will start our first official Let's Play episode of Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Probably, I assume we'll start off where we left off last time together, most likely.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
We'll
figure
it out.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll join into that, and we'll do it for as long as you guys want us to do that. And we'll start doing it, and we'll see how things go, and if you guys are enjoying it, and go from there. But we'll start that, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, so great game overall. Excited to see how it continues on. So let's go ahead and do our second news piece for the week, and that is the Book of Boba Fett. Disney Gallery will release on May the 4th. Be with you. So if you listeners remember, we had Mandalorian Season 1 and Mandalorian Season 2 Disney Gallery. And essentially what that consisted of was basically just a behind-the-scenes look. They had interviews with the castmates, they had interviews with the directors and the videographers and all those different people. Basically, they're just showing how did we make this series. So the Book of Boba Fett's version of that is going to release on May the 4th. So it's going to be interesting to see that. There is some things that I would like to see, talked about here and there, like how they handled the Rancor stuff. It'd be kind of cool to see that. But overall, I mean, it's just always kind of fun to deep dive into the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Drew?
Yeah, no, these are always fun to watch. With I believe it was the first season of The Mandalorian, we got a whole 7 or so episodes of it or something like that. Yeah. And then season 2, we just got one, right?
Right.
We just got one episode.
A lot of the stuff that how they made it was kind of already talked about in that first one.
Right. And I assume, they've not really said, but I assume the Book of Boba Fett will be a 1 episode type deal. I would assume. But yeah, I mean, that's not for sure. We'll see. But it's set to arrive on May 4th. And I will say, I do think these are fun. We get to learn little tidbits, some interviews with the cast, things like that. So that's always cool. But what I will say is this is not near as exciting as what our last couple of years of May the 4th has dropped. Yeah. And so and some people think maybe they're holding something out. They're gonna surprise release. I would think if there was gonna be something big, we would already know about it
potentially.
But because the finale of the Clone Wars, I think, dropped on May 4th in 2020, and the Bad Batch, the pilot of the Bad Batch, premiered on May 4th of 2021, and so I don't think there's really anything to that kind of big moment that I'm aware of, unless they surprise drop the next season of Bad Batch on there. But again, I think we would have heard at least some rumors about that by now, if that were to be the case.
Yeah, it's totally a possibility, but then again, it wouldn't be a great surprise if they did release too much, But yeah, I mean, even with surprises, we typically are talking about it on this podcast in the rumor section. There's typically a whisper here and there of stuff. And anyway, yeah, it dog walked and lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, it's not an impossibility, but yeah, I think if there was something going to be dropped on it, it probably would have been rumored. And that's the thing, and kind of like you alluded to, it's like really that's what we're getting on May the 4th. Like Star Wars Day is a behind the scenes single episode potentially of Boba Fett.
Right. You think they would try to plan it to maybe be something a little bigger, but
yeah. Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, so moving on, our next story here is Amy Hennig and Skydance New Media are creating a new Star Wars game. So I'll just go ahead and read this little blurb here. It says, Skydance New Media today announced a collaboration with Lucasfilm Games to develop and produce a narrative-driven action-adventure game featuring an original story in the Star Wars galaxy. Helming Skydance New Media is award-winning writer and director Amy Hennig, a game industry legend whose credits include the blockbuster series Legacy of Kain, Jack and Dexter, and Uncharted. Ooh. So she said, I've often described how seeing Star Wars in 1977 essentially rewired my 12-year-old brain, shaping my creative life and future indelibly, said Hennig, president at Skydance News Media. I'm elated to be working with Lucasfilm's games again to tell interactive stories in this galaxy that I love. So, what the main takeaway I get from this is the first thing that I want to mention here is that Amy Hennig was already working on a Star Wars or Star Wars game that never came to life.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she was the one that was working on a game. This has been quite a while back, but they showed a couple of pictures of it. It was going to be kind of an Uncharted style game
Yeah.
and set in the Star Wars universe, and it never happened.
Yeah.
And it was canceled eventually. So this is kind of a surprise to see her back, but a welcoming surprise because I think that to me, still, if you say, "Hey, an Uncharted Star Wars," that still sounds really good,
Right.
and I'm all in for that. I think of some of the cinematic experiences, blockbuster, big explosions and craziness that goes on in the Uncharted games
Right.
that so far really only Uncharted has been able to accomplish. And I think if they can put that into Star Wars and have some of that cinematic experience that you're in control of, I think it could be a huge win. And this is just adding to the huge lineup of Star Wars video games that we are getting in the
Yeah.
next 5 years, right? Like we're gonna see some really big Star Wars games, something that we've not had a lot of for a long time.
Right.
We've just now started to get this stuff, right? We got Jedi Fallen Order, we got Star Wars Battlefront 2, which has been out for quite a while now, but
Right.
that was kind of when it all started. We got that. We got Rogue Squadron, or not Rogue Squadron, Squadrons.
Yeah, just
That's what it's
Squadron.
called.
Yeah.
And now we are continuing to see all of this. And if you remember, Braxton, we talked about this a while back. The rumor that they were planning to start having new Star Wars video games every 6 months.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
and the more we hear these announcements, the more that we're starting to
makes sense.
see that vision come true,
Yeah.
right? Eventually, they're going to get to this point where there's enough games in development that they can release them every 6 months.
Right.
And it depends on how you look at that. It could either be really exciting or really daunting,
Right.
or maybe you think that's just too much.
Right.
I don't know. I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah,
I'm very
absolutely.
excited. But I also could see where it'd be like, oh, if we start getting tons of them, like how are we going to keep up
How
with
are we
all
gonna
of
keep
this?
up with all this? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree. I'm always up for more Star Wars in any connotation or manner that it comes. But yeah, it can be a little intimidating. But reeling back a little bit onto the specific topic. So let's talk about what we know about this game in particular. So obviously, as Drew had already mentioned, that Amy Hennig has let me phrase that, it was rumored to have already made a game or worked on a game, excuse me, that it was more Uncharted based. So what is that? That is more kind of not open world inherently, but more action adventure, more like role playing game, right? Furthermore, as we know from her credits, she has worked on like Ratchet and Clank and a few games like that. Which again, it's this more story driven and kind of sort of open world. But to further nail that down, Star Wars had released a kind of a little picture and summary. It says, "We are so proud to announce that Lucasfilm Games is teaming up with Skydance New Media to create a richly cinematic action adventure with an original story set in a legendary Star Wars galaxy." So right there, boom, that's exactly what this game is going to be. We don't know what it's going to be, but we know the style and things of that nature. It's going to be a richly cinematic action adventure game. And also it's going to be an original story. So it's something that's not been told as of yet.
Right.
So, and what kind of, obviously we have Amy Hennig on the gaming side of it, but what can we expect from, we talking about richly cinematic, what can we expect from them? Well, Skydance Media has been known for a lot of insane movies, such as Jack Reacher, Terminator Dark Fate, Terminator Genesis, Atom Project, Mission Impossible, The Tomorrow War, Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible. I mean, we can go on and on. Like, basically, definitively action movies, right? I mean, you can keep going, right? Ghost Protocol, Gemini Man, Snake Eyes, World War Z, Six Underground. I mean, again, just insane movie lineup here. And it just embodies this action adventure feel. Lots of explosions, and so it's just, again, kind of funny. Lots of explosions, lots of movement, and things of that nature. Great shots, which
Right.
aligns with that kind of
Yeah.
whatever the game was, Uncharted.
Yeah.
Uncharted that we were just talking about. So
Yeah, and we know that this game company has also they've also announced a partnership with Marvel to create a story within their universe as well. So now they're working on a Marvel game and a Star Wars game. So I think they're in they're in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do come up with. I will say, and this may not mean anything at all, but I do want to mention is that when this was announced, Amy Hennig retweeted Star Wars tweet about it, and she said, "Never tell me the odds."
Yeah.
It may not mean anything. She may just be quoting a Star Wars, but maybe that has a little more to. Maybe that's hinting at things to come. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just I thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. So, wink, wink. We'll never know. We don't know, but we will know eventually.
But we will know eventually.
All right. So, our last news piece for this week is that the Kenobi series, something long awaited for Andrew and I both, but I'm sure for many of you out there, the Kenobi series was originally slated to debut on May 25th, which is a Wednesday.
My dog's going crazy.
Dog's going crazy over here, knocking stuff around. Anyway, sorry. So the Kenobi series was slated to release on May 25th on a Wednesday, but due to whatever reason, and you, Drew, may have more on that, but for whatever reason, they did push back the release date only a few days to Friday, May 27th. But I guess to make up for it or something, they're now releasing not one, but 2 episodes on May 27th, that Friday. So the release date was pushed back a couple days, but they're releasing 2 episodes now.
Yeah, so here's the deal. As we have expressed before, we're fans of this stuff releasing on Fridays.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool that this is going to debut on a Friday. It's awesome that's going to be 2 episodes instead of just 1. I mean, I'm all for that. I think that's great. They never truly said why they're doing it, but I do have my theories or opinions, and
Okay.
I think that it's completely because of Celebration. I think it's 100% because of Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
So this was scheduled to release the day before Celebration started. Now it is happening during Celebration. And I think the reason for that is that one of 2 things. They're either wanting to give the people at Celebration a opportunity to see it early. So they're going to premiere it
On
at
Wednesday.
Celebration on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Possibly, right?
Yeah, who knows?
Or, sorry, not on Wednesday, on Thursday. It'd be Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the first day. So either
Exclusive content. You got 1 day early.
you get 1 day early, yeah. Or they're wanting to play it there at Celebration on, but here, this doesn't matter as much because people could have done this anyway, but I think maybe they want a first time view of it on Friday. You're in there with Ewan McGregor, and they like interview him and stuff, whatever. But and also watch the episodes.
That would be so baller, dude.
I think it has something to do with one of those 2 things.
Yeah.
I think it definitely plays into the fact that Celebration is during this time. I really do. That's the only reason I can think of that they would do this. But I do want to say, once those 2 episodes premiere on that Friday, it does go back to a Wednesday or Wednesday schedule.
Right.
So the rest of the episodes will release on Wednesdays.
So I'm torn with this because, I do like. First of all, I'm sad that Drew and I can't watch it together. I'm very disappointed with that because I already told him I don't care what we have to do. We're watching them together.
Well, we still can.
Well, I'm saying I made that statement, and then the first 2 episodes can't even be viewed together.
But we can.
Okay, sort of. Anyway,
we can FaceTime each other.
It's not the same.
And we'll still. When it gets to the real good stuff,
yeah, true. The first
we'll be
episode
together.
or 2.
We get to watch it.
So, but that kind of not reminisces, but leads to my second point is that like I wish they didn't release 2 episodes. I want this to be. We only get like 4 or 6 episodes.
6.
Okay.
So that means you're getting 2 right off the bat, which means you only have 4.
That's my point. Is that I want this to
Essentially
be
a month
stretched out
left after
as
that.
much as it can. Like we've been waiting for this for years. We've been waiting for so long, even before actually knowing about it. There was the rumors that it could happen. There's a movie coming out or whatever, and so we've been wanting this for so long. It's our favorite character. I want to relish this. I want to stretch it out.
I know.
And they think they're doing something good for people to release 2 episodes in a row. And to me, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm curious. I'm really curious to see where the first episode ends, to see what the original intent was of where they leave you off. That make you wait a week.
Yeah.
Versus
true.
where it ends after the second episode. I'm really curious to see how that plays into it. Now there was a rumor, and if you've noticed, I've not talked a whole lot about Kenobi Rumors within our podcast, and the reason for that is there's actually quite a bit of substantial rumors out there that are most likely true.
Legit,
and so
yeah.
I've stayed away from it because I don't want to reveal too much about this for myself or for you guys.
Sure.
But one thing I have heard about, and this isn't like too much because we already know this is going to happen, but there is rumor that the reveal of Hayden Christensen is at the end of the second episode. So
that could make sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of the big moment of when you'll see him. I don't really know if that's true. That's just been a rumor. So
yeah.
But that would be quite the exciting place to leave off, right? Is when we do see Hayden Christensen again.
So if you were going to be left to wait a week, it would be something big like that to like make you salivate and like I can't wait to like wait.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on for now. But again, exciting stuff there. We're only just a little over a month away before the premiere of Kenobi, so it's really exciting. But let's jump into our rumors. We just have 2 rumors for you today, but both of them are very interesting. And the first one here is that The Acolyte, which is going to be a High Republic Disney Plus series, has delayed filming. And of course, again, this is just a rumor, but the rumor is that it has been delayed to October. Filming is expected to last 8 months, as the anticipated wrap is now May 2023.
Interesting.
So I think we had heard before that this would premiere by the end of 2023. I think that's still reachable. I think there's still a good chance that could be done and ready by the end of 2023.
Yeah, because that still leaves 7 months.
Yeah, and so I think that makes sense. But there's some other things here we can talk about. They're still looking for 2 key players. The first is a Caucasian man in his 50s, codenamed Paul, who will be a series regular, but only for the first season. Also on the casting call is a role for a girl in the 8 to 10 age range, codenamed Miri. With a twist, Lucasfilm may be looking to fill the lead guest star's role with identical twins.
I could be either one if they wanted me to be. So I'll be whatever you want.
I'll be whatever you want me to be, Lucasfilm.
Never mind.
So, we've not heard any reports of creative issues with The Acolyte, but you kind of have to wonder exactly what's going on here. This is now the 3rd start date we have been given to filming. So, for whatever reason, things have continued to be pushed back a little bit. No exact reasonings that we've heard just yet, but I do find that interesting. We do know that this Aura character, and we've talked about her for a while now. She was like the very first person we learned about, right?
Mm-hmm.
This Aura that is supposed to be a martial arts female that they were looking for.
Yeah.
She is going to be doing the majority of the action and growth in the series as the lead, but this Paul character is supposedly going to be the mentor figure.
That dies.
As well, and so I'm going to go ahead and put my own theories and spins into this. But as we know, we do believe this is going to be about the Sith. So I would go ahead and venture that this Paul character will be the Sith Lord of that time.
Yeah.
So give your own, come to your own conclusions there.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder. And since it seems to only be around for season 1, if the rumors are correct, if this acolyte does end up being the killer of this mentor, which would follow in the normal steps of Sith, and then maybe this young the young twins here could very well be the student of the acolyte, and so it'd be a twist because the supposed acolyte actually has an acolyte, and you could argue who was the real acolyte that the name of the series is. Anyways, I'm going into a whole thing there, but something to consider, and I do think about the time period here. We've been told this is at the end of the High Republic, right? Well, that's what we've been told in the past.
Yeah.
So my question to you would be, if it's towards the end of the High Republic, that would mean we're not too far before episode 1 would begin. So to me, if this is truly following the path of Sith Lord and the rule of 2, then Darth Plagueis cannot be too far from where we're going here.
And potentially Darth Plagueis is one of the twins that is underneath this female beast mode Sith acolyte wannabe thing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they said it was going to be a female. They're looking. The casting
for the twins were
a female. I mean, I don't know, but
interesting.
But it does make you wonder exactly what they're going for here,
right? Yeah.
Because again, if it's following the true rule of 2 Sith lineage, then I don't see how this female plays into it, because I don't see how this acolyte could, because Palpatine's got to be in play somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
At least, yeah.
And Plagueis especially, because you assume Plagueis has been around for a while already. Even 50 years before.
Yeah.
Even in the 50 years before a Phantom Menace, because I think it's around what it said, like 50 years.
Yeah, for the acolyte, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
when they first announced it. So you would think like Plagueis has to already be kind of in play at this point. So that's where things get a little confusing for me about what this story is truly telling. And is it truly telling the story of the Sith, or is it going to just be more focused on dark side users that are not the actual Sith lineage? I guess that's my big question here.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, because you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, we already know that Plagueis to some degree is canon. It's not like, oh, come to find out, actually, the new canon is that Palpatine had a female master. Well, we know that's not true because Plagueis was, well, because I guess in terms of canon, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you might know about this more than I do, but obviously we have the legends that Plagueis book that shows the exact species, exactly who Plagueis is. But in episode 3, when he mentions Plagueis, all he just says is Plagueis. I don't know that it inferred that it was a him or her or anything like that. I don't know. That'd be weird if they switched that around like that in my eyes, but that's not an impossibility. I could be wrong on that, but it's possible.
So he does refer to Darth Plagueis as a he.
Okay.
That much I'm sure of. As far as his race goes, I believe that it does mention him being a moon or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not in the movies, but in canon stuff that we have received, it has referred to him as that. Now they could always maybe throw that out the door if they felt like they needed to make him a human character if they wanted, but I do think a lot of fans would throw a fit about that. And I don't know if
Yeah.
they're willing to do that. So, but let's go ahead and move on for now. There's a lot to think about there, and of course we'll continue to talk about and discuss it as more information comes out. But let's go ahead over to our next rumor.
Yeah, so our final and last rumor for the week actually kind of dances back to our last news piece. And there's not really a lot to say here, but something we did want to mention is that it is a kind of a big possibility in rumor that that new Kenobi footage is possibly coming out within the next week or so. Obviously, we got, a couple weeks ago, about a month ago-ish, maybe, we got the big trailer for Kenobi series. But it is reported that there's some rumors going around that Kenobi footage might be released next week.
Yeah, so according to MakingStarWars.net, which is a very credible source, says that that fans can expect new and exciting footage within a week. So that would be between April 21st and April 27th. So that's between Thursday to Wednesday. And the reason for that is marketing for the series is expected to ramp up ahead of the show's May 27 premiere. Now, I'll tell you today, actually, I sent you earlier today a picture of what appeared to be new marketing for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And actually, someone has already taken a picture of that up in a store somewhere. That someone has already placed it, apparently early, because it doesn't appear to be something that's supposed to be up just yet, but somebody has broken the rules and installed that early. And what you'll see is not necessarily giving much away that we don't already know, but you have Obi-Wan Kenobi on one side, you have it just like a face profile, and then you have Darth Vader on the other side, and in the middle, the most exciting neat part of this is you have Obi-Wan and Darth Vader about to clash lightsabers. Now what's really cool is it's made to look very reminiscent of their fight in Revenge of the Sith. It's then the positioning of it. It looks a lot like that, except instead of red lava, it's like a blue light, blue shooting up instead of the red. So very cool to start seeing that. Very exciting things. I'm excited to see where that goes. But
on a side note, I'm so excited for all the Kenobi merch that's going to be coming. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. My wallet is so scared.
Right.
But no, like that's the thing. I'm I like to get Star Wars stuff, but like I can usually, I can hold off. When new things come out, I may buy like one thing. When a new movie or something comes out, I get something that like to kind of remember that moment. But with Kenobi, like anything that has Obi-Wan Kenobi on it, I'm gonna want to buy. And this series, anything that comes out for this series is gonna have like Kenobi on it. So
shirts,
I'm gonna
action
want
figures.
I'm gonna want to buy it all. It's gonna be bad. It's
Posters,
really bad.
everything.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be scary, but I'm excited. So.
All right. So that's the end of our rumors. We're gonna go into our releases. And Braxton, do we have did you put a Q&A thing for this week? Or?
I did.
You did?
Oh, I did last week when we expected to have
yeah. Okay. So I think we're kind of running short on time.
Yeah.
Me and Braxton have some obligations.
Yeah.
So as usual, I mean, what would a Jedi Eternal episode be if we weren't mad rushing to hurry and finish? Yes, we always do this to ourselves. But anyways, so I think we're gonna hold off on a main topic for this week.
Okay.
I think it's just gonna be our best bet at this point. But what I will say is 2 weeks from now when we do our next Jedi Eternal episode, our hope and plan is to finally fully discuss the first phase of the High Republic. So you'll definitely want to come back in 2 weeks and come listen to us talk fully about the High Republic Phase 1.
Oh yeah,
so
it's gonna be fun.
But for now, Star Wars releases that are coming up in the next 2 weeks. We have Crimson Reign #4 that's coming out April 27th. We have the let's see. We have Star Wars issue number 23 on May the 4th.
Be with you.
One that I'm very excited about is also Obi-Wan issue number 1, which is going to be the comic series about Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you couldn't guess what that is, on May 4th as well. So that'll be exciting to jump into that series. So that's all we got in releases, though. Well,
Wow.
of course, and I guess the Star Wars, what's that thing called?
I don't know what
You
you're
don't know what I'm
talking
talking
about.
about? Disney Gallery, the Book of
Oh.
Boba Fett. If that really does come out on May 4th, which is supposed to.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. Bait and switch,
we'll
maybe.
see.
Who knows?
Yeah, they're gonna trick us.
Hopefully. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into our community discussion then. So like I said, as you may be aware already, we like to have a community discussion, kind of a replacement of our Q&A section, where in the discussion we have this time where we actually ask you guys a question, and we like to kind of compile all the answers and then discuss your answers live on air. So this week's question was, and it's kind of like a debate question, right? It's something that is common within the Star Wars fandom, but if a friend or family member came to you saying that they would like to watch Star Wars for the first time themselves, in what order would you tell them to watch the movies? So, kind of a hotly contested thing, I think, and it would be kind of fun to go through all of these Star Wars debates, who shot first and what order should be. It'd be kind of fun to like see everybody's opinion on that. So we might do
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
But I just thought it would be fun to do it this time for this question. So starting off, number 1, Kristen Perry says episode 4. So I'm assuming what you mean by that is you start at episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like the common accepted answer, right? That's what a lot of people would say, which we'll see how that kind of differs in our comments here. But so let's go ahead and move on. So Brandon Duke says the correct order only. So Brandon, he goes on to say would probably throw a warm up with a few episodes of Mando. So just to be unbiased, I don't know what you mean, Brandon. What is the right order? But I'm assuming he's referring to 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. So then Corey Allen Wise goes on to say I would start with episode 1 and then go in order. So that's interesting. So he kind of breaks off from the bunch a little bit here. Then, kind of to continue on with that thought, Ethan Stewart comes in and says, start chronologically with The Phantom Menace, which is, again, kind of interesting because it kind of breaks away from the common and accept thing. And then, to finish it all off, to stay with this trend, Alex Mason comes in and says, chronologically is the only way for me. Feels wrong to watch it out of order. So we have two different interpretations of chronologically here between Ethan and Alex.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm assuming when Alex says that, I'm assuming he means 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, so on. So we have, even within our own comment section, we do have some people who are going back and forth on what is best. So I'm just going to give you my interpretation now. And I don't know that I have the right answer. I do have something that I lean towards, but my point is I get both sides. Now that everything is out, right? The entire saga is completed. It does kind of make sense that you would start with episode 1 and work all the way to 9 because it is one cohesive story now, right? We start with baby Anakin all the way till Kylo, his last heir, dies, and then Rey is installed as some pseudo Skywalker. Anyway, not to ruffle feathers there, but so it makes sense. So I can see that, and it wouldn't be a bad idea. But for me personally, I still almost feel like I have to go in chronological release order, which is 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, right? And this is my reasoning for that, not because I'm some snob about it has to be this way or that way, but because some people again would come back and say, well, it's one cohesive story now. It makes sense if they're not all released yet. But the way I look at it is this: is that every time something comes out, right, it is bridging the gap between something that we already know. So it's obviously it's not starting a whole new saga. It's basing itself off of what has already been released. So what do I mean by that? Whenever we got the prequels, right, 1, 2, and 3, it was based off of what we already understood in 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
So my point is this, and this comes into play more in the shows rather than the movies, but even some degree in the movies, is that whenever we start to watch something, like say in the prequels, there's times that there's little references that come into play. There's times that things that was mentioned and already established into the lore in 4, 5, and 6 is stated or insinuated, that if you didn't watch those, you might be like, what does that mean? You know, or who is that? Or what is this system? Or what is that? You know, and something that was already mentioned in 4, 5, and 6, and they're just basing that off of what was already established in the original trilogy, now in the prequel trilogy. So it plays more, like I said, into the shows, but like as more and more things come out, there's more references. There's more things that you would appreciate. Like I said, for instance, and it's not the movies, but like Clone Wars. Clone Wars is a great show, but in the latter seasons of Clone Wars, there's so many things that you would miss out on. Or Mandalorian's actually a great one. Mandalorian has so many references to the original trilogy and so many references even to the prequel trilogy that when me and you, Drew, were watching it, we're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Oh. And then my dad, which, I mean, he has seen all the movies, but he's not as avid, right? And my dad was like, you know, he just watched it when I watched it a second time or third time with him, and he was just kind of like, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So watching it in chronological release order for me helps to build those foundations of the story and of the lore, and that as more things came out, you can start to appreciate the references. You can start to appreciate the things that were already established. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's what I go.
No, and that makes total sense. My answer is kind of hard for me, and really I think for me, it comes down to the person, and
that's
so
a good point.
Let me, when I go to watch Star Wars, if I'm going to watch all of Star Wars, what I do go back and do the canon chronological timeline. So that would mean starting with episode 1.
Right.
That is what I do if I'm going to go back and watch all of them.
Right. Yeah.
That being said, I do agree with you that there's a lot of benefit to watching them in the order of release, because it continues to grow on what you already know, and so that there's kind of a certain kind of reward to that, right? And so I could also argue there's maybe a whole new spin on that, though, if you go in and watch from episode 1 not knowing.
True.
Because technically the Chancellor being Palpatine and stuff could be a whole new surprise in a sense,
just how we get so it's like we would be trading, right? Because we get that cool thing of like Palpatine being
Darth
Emperor,
Vader
but we don't get the Darth Vader thing now.
So there it's kind of trading off different surprises and stuff, but it would be a unique way. But what I have to think is, who am I showing this to for the first time?
Right. Yeah.
And so I have found, and I think my wife is actually a perfect example of this. When me and my wife were dating, she had never seen Star Wars, none of them. And so it was right around the time that The Force Awakens actually released. And what I did, instead of showing her any of the Star Wars movies that were already out, I actually brought her to watch The Force Awakens before anything else. And the reason I did that, and now some of you may be thinking, what in the world, that's crazy. But the reason I did that is because these movies are sort of like a time capsule of their period, right?
Sure.
So you have the original trilogy, you watch it, you enjoy it, but it's still old, right? And it doesn't really fit the format of what a lot of movies are today.
Right.
The prequels are absolutely the 2000s. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
The early 2000s, like
they're the epitome of 2000
yeah,
movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so say what you want about the sequel trilogy, but it absolutely fits within modern movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
The feel, all of the action, everything. It just feels like a modern movie. And so showing her The Force Awakens captured her attention in a way that I don't know if episode 4 or episode 1 would have had I shown one of those to her at first, because they feel dated. Even though, yes, I love it, and I think episode 4 is a absolute classic to this day, you still have to recognize there is some dated things to those movies.
Yeah.
And so I showed her episode 7. She enjoyed it and caught her interest in the universe. And then we went back and watched all of the others. And I will say now her favorite is episode 4. A New Hope is actually her favorite of all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would have captured her interest the way it did had she started actually with episode 4. And that's someone that's younger. If it was someone older, I would maybe say maybe you should start with episode 4 because they're going to appreciate the classics.
Right, and you make a great point, and I think that's true because I'm sitting here talking about like the intricacies of lore, the foundations that are being built every time a new movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if they watch episode 4 and they're like, man, this is too old. They watch episode 1 and like, wow, this is hokey, this is stupid, and like, who cares about all the intricacies because they're never going to watch it anyway. So you're absolutely right, and if it takes somebody to watch something that breaks my continuity in my mind but gets them into Star Wars, then that might be what they have to do.
And here's another crazy thing and this is something new I've considered now, is that now we have the Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah.
I would argue, and I actually have to some who've never seen any Star Wars, I said, just turn on Disney Plus. You already have Disney Plus, and watch an episode of The Mandalorian. Just see what you think. And I'll tell you, with multiple people, that has worked. They watched The Mandalorian before they've ever seen anything else Star Wars.
Right.
They enjoyed it. Again, it's modern television. So it's easier to digest and watch than maybe something older. They watched it. It caught their interest. They went back and watched all the rest of the Star Wars movies and enjoyed all of them at that point. But it's all about what will catch their attention. And sometimes whatever is new and fresh and modern can catch their attention more. And then you show them the classics. So that's kind of my thoughts.
So basically, at the end of the day, there really isn't an exact right answer.
Exactly.
I think it's completely dependent upon the person that you're getting into. Now, if people are like, yes, I will commit to watching
I will say
all of them.
Our listeners were saying they were all very adamant that it was their way or the highway. But I would argue that it does. It depends on the person. It depends on honestly the age of the person, what they're interested in. All of these things play into it. But I do think eventually though everyone should watch it in canon chronological order eventually though. That is I am going to put that out there.
I would elaborate further, but we are really really out of time. So we thank everybody so much for listening and participating and being a part of our podcast, our Let's Plays, our live streams, in those especially who are a part of our Patreon. We love you so much. Honestly, whether you're a part of it in every single aspect or you just listen every once in a while, we still love each and every one of you so much, and we appreciate you making this a community, and we look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully you guys reach out to us. But we would be very appreciative if you would like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all those different places. We try our best to have weekly news and polls and discussions and memes and all that kind of stuff on there, so it's always fun. And plus, like, anytime there's an update for the channel or the I don't know what you can call us anymore, right? The brand. I'm not going to say podcast because we're more than that. But any update for Jedi Eternal will be on like Facebook or Instagram. So follow us on there for those updates. Also, if you could, please follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you would be so kind to leave us a review, we would appreciate it. Even if it's not a 5-star, even if it's a 1-star, we want to hear your feedback. But thank you guys so much for listening to us. Join us next week for the very first official episode of Let's Play for Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. And then join us the week after that for episode 78 of this wonderful, wonderful podcast. But last but not least, may the Force be with you, and we thank you for joining the Jedi Eternal.